Hello there, my friends. Welcome to the Glow Up Method, where we talk all things about growth, healing, all in this pursuit to live a life that we individually are proud of and have that overflow into the rest of the world. My name is Natasha, and I'm super excited to be here with you today. As you can see, I finally, for you, loyal listeners out there, I finally got my left-handed clicker back. I'm so excited. I had honestly forgot about it. And in the midst of trying to clean up my entire life and my rooms and everything that's going on around me, I found it again, which inspired me to replace the battery. And voila, we are back in action. And I'm so grateful for that. And so here we are. So one of the interesting things about this channel for me was I got a great question today from a viewer. And the question is, why every day? And it wasn't to be rude or anything like that, they stated, but it was just out of curiosity. And so like I say here, my personal experience is it is within that daily or hourly or whatever, it's with the consistency and the discipline in which we grow. Like I've said, I've been very honest about the fact that these last few weeks I have not been able to film every day. I've been stripped, right? Like everything that I felt really uncomfortably comfortable in has either by my own doing, by someone else's doing, just lifing, right? I'm not putting any blame on anyone or anything. It's just everything has imploded. And I am literally like, when I don't even know the whole thing with the phoenix and the ashes or whatever, like everything is burnt down. I am raw. There is, everything that gave me this grounding and familiarity, even if I wasn't comfortable in it, a lot of it has shifted and changed. And, here's the thing is by doing things daily, it allows us to build that resilience muscle. It gives us trust in the process that even though I want to just lay in my bed and do nothing, if I do something, it may not be as good as my best yesterday or the week before or where I'll be in a few years or months or days from now. But just showing up consistently, it builds this trust within yourself. It helps build confidence and it helps build resilience. And yes, maybe not doing it won't have an impact because for example, I had months and months in reserve for a rainy day, but it also gives me the courage and the knowledge to know that I can stop and restart. And for me, there is a value in continually going. There is a value in building, and we don't see it, right? With every 100 steps we walk, or every healthier food choice we make, or every repair of a relationship that something had went wrong. We don't necessarily see the day-to-day actions and the impact of I'm sorry, or giving somebody a compliment right in that time. You may, right? You may, but it's over time that builds and compounds, just like compound interest we learned about, right? Like in a bank, like, okay, so what if I put in $1 and then it grows to, $1.10 or, it takes time. And you really need to have, for me, that consistency. And so part of this channel, the whole premise of it for me was showing up every day. And yes, I may not have been able to film, but I still did do my part. I submitted and I posted my journaling for that day, my vlog, my blog, whatever this is called, right? My episode. And so in that, I feel like, yes, it may not have been exactly the way I would have wanted to. I would have filmed and I would have continued on in that way, but I was exactly where I needed to be and I still got my stuff done. And so that's the important part. And that's where where I am focusing and shifting my attention to, not on what I didn't do, but what I did. I was still able to show up for my viewers. I was still able to show up for myself, and I was still able to feel proud, even on the days where I wanted to lay in bed and put the blanket over and hide away and cry and say, I want somebody. I can't even say I wanted my mom to rescue me because she never did. I can't say my dad to rescue me because he doesn't. And, I didn't have anybody. I can't say, Chris, can you rescue me? Like, he's gone. And I wanted to lay in bed and hide away and pretend none of this was happening. But you got to get up and you got to keep moving. And maybe it's slower. Maybe it's more gingerly because you're nursing an injury. Maybe it's slower because your heart is heavy and it hurts. So I wanted to first address that, but thank you so much for being a subscriber, and thank you so much for tuning in and asking a great question that, I felt like could really use like a public answer, and it went really well with what I wanted to talk about today. So today I wanted to talk about my situation, right? So again, I know you're probably getting tired of it, but there's lots of juicy little nuggets in here. So I wanted to talk about how oftentimes we want change. And I had to have a reminder today to myself is where I am today, what my family dynamic looks like. It was a change I wanted. Now, let's get this back. When I got married, I didn't want to get divorced. And throughout the years of staying loyal to Chris, I didn't want a divorce. It wasn't what I wanted. What I wanted was a healthy partnership with my husband. For whatever reasons, he's a good person, I'm a good person. For whatever reasons, it didn't happen that way all the time or enough. And especially when I embarked on this journey for myself, where I began to gain the knowledge that, yes, I am worthy of being treated with kindness. Yes, I am deserving of being able to go to a gym. Yes, I am a good person. Yes, I am kind. Like once I started no longer bullying myself, my tolerance for being mistreated reduced significantly. I would want to accept that behavior, right? Like it was my gut instinct to be like, it's okay. That's just Chris being Chris. But at the end of the day, inside something was like, no, this isn't right. Like this doesn't feel right to be treated this way. It doesn't feel right to have to go to your kids and say, this isn't how you treat a woman. And to your daughter, this isn't how you receive treatment. Like, I have to hold true to that. I wanted change and I waited. I went to individual therapy. I went to 3 different couples therapists with him. I waited. I sacrificed our couples therapist for him so that he can continue going to therapy because one left his thing, he didn't like another one, and he was going to quit altogether. And his well-being as a human, as a person, as my kid's dad, as hopefully maybe would have been my spouse, was my priority. And it came from a place of love. And I knew that by ending couples therapy, there was a small likelihood that we'd go on to therapist number 4. It's just a restart and it takes a long time. And I knew neither one of us was really in a place to kind of put in that energy. And so I really thought, like, if we invest in ourselves and if we get healthy, then we'll be in a better place where we're not operating at a deficit. And then we can build from there and get back to therapy. He took it very differently than what my intentions were, what my objectives were, understandably. And he had his own viewpoints and feelings about it. It's not like it's just my way and let me just adapt and accept whatever she wants. He didn't want things that way. He wanted to go hot and heavy and right back to the way things were and great and everything the way it was. And I just couldn't go back to the way it was. It was like, if you're blind your whole life and you can't see, and then suddenly you can see again, it's so much different, right? So for me, I wanted change, but I also wanted change to look really pretty in this pretty little box, right? That's the thing about it, is I had these expectations that change would look this way. Change would look this way as a couple, and change would look this way as an uncoupling. I thought that I would be kind of in control of the timeline when it was. I would never have picked right before the holidays, right before my kids' birthdays, right at this time. I was feeling pretty happy overall in my life. I would have ranked my happiness in life at about a 9.5. I was continuing to do this. I was traveling, I was spending time with my kids. Yeah, there was this part that interacting with Chris was really difficult and challenging, but it kind of always has been there. It was a variable that it was a nuisance. It was, some days hurtful. But overall, if I didn't have to think about it, deal with it, shut my door to it, went to a gym, spent time with my kids, I didn't let it impact me too much. On an occasion, I'd see a show or hear a song or something, and it would remind me of the disarray of our relationship and how much I would have loved to have a loving partnership in the way that it's presented on the TV or in movies and in music and novels. That just wasn't the lot in life for me. And I found other things to fill me with joy at that time. I found my own personal love, which was great, right? And so I think the challenge for me today and where I am right now in the process is understanding that this change is exactly what I wanted. It just doesn't look exactly the way I wanted it to. We have these expectations we want to control. We want things to go smoothly as we anticipate. And when they don't, it kind of makes us question. Like, I feel like I'm at the point where I'm like, now I'm questioning, like, did I really want this change? Do I really want to separate? Like maybe we can still make this work and all this stuff. But then we're back in that same position, right? It's like this. And what I'm looking for is like this, like, I don't want to ride these high highs and these low lows and all of a sudden now that one's threatened to leave or has left, it's like, okay, wait, here, we'll do anything we can. Like, we've done this and it didn't work. It worked in the interim, right? Like, okay, good, we're going on dates. Okay, good, we're in therapy. Okay, it was like, with this whole fearful and panic kind of response. And that's the same thing I'm talking about in regards to anything. This same scenario is plug and play for anything. It could be my weight loss journey where, again, it was these highs and lows always until I got to the place where I am now, where it's like this, right? It was high highs. I'm going to take a drastic thing. So many times I hear people talking about their health and wellness journey and they're like, yes, I looked on the scale. I was 297 pounds. So I'm clean eating. I'm exercising 7 days a week. I am, only eating these days a week. I am taking on these diet pills. And all of a sudden you're doing all these things. It's the same like nervous energy where it's like all of a sudden Chris and I are going on dates and now we're talking and oh my gosh, now we're sleeping in the same bed and it's like, oh my gosh, this is what we always wanted and it was possible and it's great and oh my gosh, why didn't I do this before? It's so easy and I made it so much harder than it was. And then life's, right? You have a bad day. You don't want to go on a date. You're not hungry and you had stuff on your mind. You have plans of your own. Or, like with the weight loss journey, you're really freaking craving In-N-Out right now. You're really craving a burger. You really want a piece of pizza. And now you're having this power struggle inside because you're like, but we're not doing that anymore. We don't eat that kind of food. And then you start beating yourself. Why do I want that? I don't even want it. It doesn't even taste good. And then you start having this struggle within yourself. And then you're like, screw it. I'm just going to go eat it all. I'll get back on it tomorrow. And now you're filled with guilt and shame and embarrassment. Because here it is, you have this thing you wanted. You wanted to change your life. It could be your physical appearance, your emotional experiences, your mental experiences, your education, and it's not going as you planned. And now what? Right? Do you quit? Do you quit going to school if it's you're going to get education? Is it you change your job again because you went to this job and you thought it was going to be so perfect, but there are now, these people that talk gossip and you don't like the gossip, or the job is a little bit harder than you thought it was going to be, or the relationship isn't progressing the way in which you wanted it to, or ending, in my case, the way you wanted it to. And so I think that it's natural for us humans to want this little bit of certainty, to know it's going to be okay and I'm going to be safe. And the ones around me, like in my situation, it's not just me, So like, again, if it was in my ideal world, my older 3 would be off in the world doing their own things. And my younger one would be off in the world doing his own thing, to where there was minimal day-to-day impact on their lives. Not all 4 of them living here at home with part-time jobs and, having to be in this full-fledged. And myself, I would have been better established. I would have sold my book. I would have been, profiting from, posting. I would have been stable, right? I would have had these things. But I think this goes back to the thing. It's like, oh, I want to start the diet on Monday. Oh, Monday passed. No, I got to start it next Monday. Oh, wait, but this Thursday is going to be Thanksgiving, so we can't start a diet on Monday before Thanksgiving. There's all these variables. Like, we want change, but yet there's some parts of us that just really doesn't want to have the change. We don't feel comfortable and we feel uneasy and uncertain, and we question ourselves, is this change right? Maybe I did it all wrong. Maybe you need to call Chris right now and say, can we cancel your apartment, and see if they'll let you out of the lease and move back in, and we'll work on it. We'll go on dates, and you can come back in the room, and everything will be okay. But will it really be okay when I know that there is a lot of work that would need to be done to get us to a healthy place? My weight journey, my physical journey, like I say, my physical appearance, cherry on top. I would never in a million years trade. I would rather still look large in physique and feel the way I feel. I would take that any day over looking, more fit and feeling the way I used to feel. There's no question in my mind. And even at times where I've had a lot of money and times when I haven't had money, I wouldn't change my experience right now to know everything I know, to live life in my current existence, even in the midst of one of the most trying times of my life. I wouldn't change having a lot of money for what I experience right now and being as broken as I was before with what I'm experiencing now when I'm negative $39 in the bank account, right? Like, I mean, I'm not at the negative parts. I am out of the red for that. I'm in the red, but I mean, I'm not in the negative. Okay. I've used some resources, but I say all that to say, there is nothing that we think the money is going to make us feel better. We think that the way we look to others is going to make us feel better. Quite honestly, I don't see myself a lot. I sit here I'm watching on here. If I glance in a mirror or whatever, most of the day, the way I look impacts other people a lot more than it impacts me. I appreciate like the things that my body can do. And especially right now when my body is being challenged and isn't able to be at that same baseline I was before on a consistent basis. But I do believe everything happens for a reason. I think, part of it is I probably would have pushed through and been like, this is what we do. We still get our steps and we do all these things, but I need that time to back off. I need that time to back off my body, let it rest. And I need that time to back off so I can get it together, right? There's a lot of things pulling and needing me. And I'm the one captain driving this ship right now. And here's the thing is I thought this was going to be a journey filled with calm waters because I meditate and I take a daily dose of dysregulation and I've been through enough already, right? But I've hit some choppy waters. And what do? Am I going to capsize? Probably not. I'm going to keep working and moving forward. And so with change, I want to tell you all, there is no guarantees, right? We want change because we don't like something about where we're at. And we can't keep looking backwards and thinking, oh my gosh, the water back there was really calm. And now I'm coming into these uncharted territories and these uncharted seas. And it's really rough and it's really choppy. And I don't know if there's pirates out there. I don't know if there's another ship out there. I don't know if there's an island out there. I don't know what that is. But what I do know is there is also some peace in being uncomfortable. I do believe that while I'm not exactly where I want to be, and while it is not as smooth sailing as I hoped, there are still some really beautiful sunsets and sunrises that are gracing my journey. There are so many rays of hope. They're littlest things. Walking the garbage around with my son and having 5 minutes to talk with him and hearing his perspectives on what's going on in his life. Having a conversation with my other son as he talked on about sports and about some really cool opportunities that are coming his way. Seeing my daughter glow from doing her Christmas creativity channel and just she's sitting down there and she's decorating and she's doing these diamond dot arts and she's advertising and she's made this Christmas essentials YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and seeing her do something she loves and watching my youngest one make the varsity team after the year he's had and then face some struggles in school and then have the courage to say I need help. And to know that even though we are all in our own storms in our own way, that change, number one, is inevitable, right? There's many things in life we cannot control, and change happens. But number two, when change is inevitable and it is within our control and it is something we want, sometimes we wait. Like I was patiently waiting, I was like, I'll be here in limbo. Hopefully Chris gets it together. He'll come, meet me where I'm at. I'll come meet him where he's at, and we can, move on from there. And there's parts where that sounded really good. There's the romanticized part, right? Like I never want to get a divorce, and it's just, I know you and you know me, and it's safe, but fundamentally, like my daughter was saying, yes, opposites attract, but you two are so opposite. It's so hard to even find a middle ground to agree to even disagree on. And so, I really have to believe that the change is good for us. But I have to relate it back to like the beginning of my weight loss journey. It was really confusing. I didn't know if I could do it. This is really confusing. I have mixed emotions. Back then I missed some of the foods I ate. Because at that point I was still kind of figuring it out. I was trying to eat healthier and cleaner, and I was supposed to, slowly integrate those changes into my life. And a lot, like I said in the beginning, I would withdraw and say no, I'm gonna, here's what the plan's like. Withdraw, like what food, like okay, no more soda. That was an easy cutout. Not easy, but like that was a easy thing to say. Okay, I'm gonna just one thing I'm gonna do. So just choosing one thing versus every other diet that didn't succeed, and say, okay, I no longer am a soda drinker. And it doesn't mean that now I don't. Like when I was on the cruise, I drank soda again, and on occasion I'll during the holidays or certain meals I do like a soda with, and there's nothing wrong with that. Having my own personal what works for me may guide and give you some general ideas of what can work for you. It breaks my heart when I hear people that say, I've been doing this workout and I've been depriving myself and I've been doing this and nothing is moving. I've been doing this since October and the scale hasn't changed. That breaks my heart. But it also reminds me then it's something bigger than just what we're putting in our mouth and what calories we put out. I really do believe the key to the change is here. Same goes when my kids have had, setbacks physically with their injuries. The key to their healing and their journey lies here. Myself, it lies here. It's what we think, what we feel. All of that is what impacts that change as well. And we think it's so easy and logical. Like, okay, I put less calories in. But like I said, for me, I believe like part of this injury is part of what's going on in my life that is beyond a workout or beyond, the way I sleep or whatever it is. It is my body holding on to trauma. It is my body holding on and figuring out a way to process a lot of things in a very short amount of time that it was not expecting. It is this thing. And as it goes on and as you nurture, like I say, like I've had many times where suddenly people are like, oh, you just lost a lot more weight. I did nothing different. But what I did do, like physically, but what I would do then is there was some kind of healing. There was some kind of inner wound. There was some kind of something that I didn't have clarity on. I didn't know even bothered me sometimes, that was repaired and healed. And for some reason, that allows your body to release that, because it's just holding on. Like I say, here's where this happened to me, and here's where this happened. And it could be something little. It could have been somebody teasing me as a little girl in school and me believing it. It could be something major, like my uncle dying. It could be, a guilt that you have, a pain, a sorrow, I feel rejected, they didn't include me to this party and nobody came to my party. I mean, so many little things it can be, and it can be big things that kind of have no place to go when you're someone like me who didn't understand that needed to be processed. And so right now my theme is reminding myself, because there's times in this where I'm weakened and I'm tired and I'm like, maybe I want to go back. Like, and there's nothing wrong with it, because at the end of the day, I have to live a life that I'm proud of. It doesn't matter what anybody knows about what happened. It doesn't matter what my kids think about me. What matters is this something that makes me proud? What I am proud about is that at this moment, Chris and I are having cordial-ish, for the most part, conversations. And he has been so kind to help us with our technical support kind of issues around the house. And he helped me to install the cord that I needed to buy for the vacuum and taught me how to use it. So he's teaching me how to do things around the house that I was not aware of, nor did I want to be aware of. But now that I have to, and I'm driving this ship, I appreciate that at least in those aspects, I have not been abandoned. And I really am very grateful for that. Is this perfect? And is this, unraveling the way in which I'd like it to? No. Do I see us being able to be friends? Again, that's what I've always held true to. And so for now, as long as he's kind and nice and I'm kind and nice, I do believe that that's possible. Heck, I'd even go to the movie with a guy. I really, there's no harm in being kind to me. Like, that is what I feel. I just don't want to get to a place where my emotions start to, or my desire for safety and comfort begin to rule me again. I've come this far not to just come this far. And I do believe that while my own personal story, my own personal glasses never put me in a position to actively prepare for leaving Chris or for him leaving me, because I just am so loyal that it did leave me unprepared. But what I do know is that I did want this change, and evidently he did. And on a personal level, as somebody who's been with Chris for 25 years, like, kudos to you. Like, after 25 years, you opened your own bank account, you opened your own, accounts, you got me off of the accounts, you did a lot of big boy things that, like, you didn't do, and I enabled you to do. And when I asked him, why didn't you do this all along? Like, don't you think that would have helped our relationship and not having so much stress? And he's like, well, I didn't have to. And so that's a little bit of self-reflection back onto me, is like, yeah, you didn't have to, because I was doing everything. And I was resentful that I was doing everything. And I was tired. I didn't even know I was resentful because I was so exhausted. And there wasn't even time to be resentful for many of the years. And over the last few years, I've delegated more back onto him. But I was operating at such a deficit. And when he left here again, we were at a real deficit, like financially, emotionally. The whole house is in disarray. And slowly things are coming together. Like I said, everything has been stripped from me, and it's rare. It's an empty canvas. And now what? It's just me with my paintbrush. At the end of the day, three of my kids are adults. My youngest one, he's almost 17. I need to paint my picture with them in mind, but also myself. It's not just a painting of my kids and Chris, and then I'm somewhere in the back. This painting that I get to design, this life I'm designing that makes me proud, it's up to me. When I choose peace over chaos, I'm proud. When I choose kindness over anger, I'm proud. That doesn't mean it's always easy. There are moments when, like I said, somebody is saying, I'm not going to pay $20 for your 3 kids. Don't get me started. It triggers something in me. But then I remember, just do you. Control you. The rest is out there. I don't need to play God or karma maker on what other people did or haven't done. What I can do is go into this world the best version of me and show up consistently every day. And it may not mean I'm filming, because some days it's just like when the kids are healing from injury, brain surgery, heart surgery, ACL injury. Sometimes it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And just because I have a great day today and then tomorrow I have a sad one, it doesn't mean I'm losing ground, because I'm still a step ahead. And so are you. So that's the process of change. And the biggest thing is, we don't have a guarantee in it. There's no guarantees. I'm just going to let you know. I don't know how it's going to end. There's no like, oh, I see myself at the end of the crystal ball and hey guys, I'm going to do this and I've done this. And it gives me this reassurance along the way. No, I need to trust the process. Trust in myself that I wanted this change. Ask myself, still, I can change my mind just because the version of me 10 weeks ago, 2 months ago, 8 months ago wanted this change. It doesn't mean me today and future me align with that. I'm able to change my mind. But I need to do the reflection and see, what is it I want? What are the things that I envision in my life to live a life that makes me proud? And the same goes for you. No matter what change you're on. No, it's scary. There isn't a lot of certainty, but it's in those moments of not knowing and discovering. That is where your growth is. That is the magic of your glow up. And I believe in you, and I believe and trust that if anything in these stories that I'm sharing on here and my experiences has led me to this point, it may be just so that you hear this today, that if you accept the challenge of change, you are going to grow. There is no failure. Even though it will feel like it at times, there are lessons. It is exactly what you're supposed to experience. So I say all this to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your great comments and for your questions. I love and appreciate them. Thank you so much for tuning in and finding me in this sea of a bazillion people out there who are sharing their stories. And thank you to all those sharing your stories, because I am also learning and growing because of your courage and vulnerability to share. So thank you so much. Please go out there today, give somebody a big smile, give them a compliment, and just watch how they glow up. So thank you. Bye. And I'm so excited to have my clicker back. If it'll work. See, not everything happens